Hey guys, today is August 13th, excuse me, and yeah, 6 years and 8 months ago today I took my first teeth shot, and everything's just great as far as my body now in sync with my inner self. Every time I look in the mirror in the mornings and do what I need to do, I'm just reminded over and over of how fortunate and how much gratitude I have that the human race has gotten to this part in science that they can help people with the gender identity and get our bodies aligned with our inner selves for those who choose to medically transition all the way. Um, it goes to remind me that each one of us has a very special journey, and it's uniquely put together specifically for us as individuals. And there are times in our lives that we don't always make the right decisions or choices. Sometimes our personalities are not strong, and so we get caught up in being victims and continuing that road, and may die in that on that road for some. But I'm just so thankful to be able to sit here and share my story on a link that millions of people can watch. Not that they do, but the opportunity is there for whoever is searching for some answers, or to be able to connect with someone who feels similar to what they do. Uh, in the very beginning of transition, uh, you get impatient. Sometimes things aren't turning out the way you want them to. For example, in my early transition, I was with a very conservative endocrinologist who just would not get my T levels up high enough to really transform my body into the male, at, in the for example, the sexual characteristics of a male. She was too concerned about blood, and even though my blood work was always okay, there's just, we've come a long way even in that conservatism amongst doctors. We still have a lot here in the county I live in, but even she has come a long way as far as allowing T levels to be higher than what seems to be the normal level in trans guys. Um, she still uh, handles her trans guys with rubber gloves, as I guess you would use, very gently and carefully, and like we're going to break. But I'm not with her anymore. The endocrinologist that I have now, I'm totally happy with. So I'm trying not to say all the time, and I do. But 6 years and 8 months. I remember when I first joined the group I go to, and the other trans guy that's there, he was celebrating his 5 years or something, or 4 year, I don't know, something like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, to be where he is. And you know what? I thought he was already transitioned all the way, but I see him now 6 7 years later, and he's transitioned even more in the time that I've known him. So I guess we don't really stop changing. And if you think about it, none of us, regardless of how we identify, all of us age and change within time as the time goes. So, uh, just like my hair, my hair's gotten thicker. I mean, I'm getting back the hair, a lot of the hair that I lost, but The bottom line is I'm going to be 57 in December, and it is what it is. I still have a lot of hair compared to a lot of people. In fact, my niece argued with me that I had a lot of hair still. She didn't understand it, but then her husband hardly has any hair, so maybe she's just used to that. It is. I'm sorry. I'm ready to sneeze and trying to pinch it off. As you know, California has been surrounded in fires, and my my breathe just normal breathing for people who don't have issues is hard. But for those of us who have breathing issues, it's been really extremely hard. In fact, my mom thought she was dying the other night because she could not take a deep breath. And I told her, next time she does that, just try to close her eyes. If her body's still breathing, she just is. The anxiety is causing her to panic. But anyway, phalloplasty, real quick. 3 years on the 15th in 2 days. It'll be 3 years with this. You can't really tell when I'm out in public because my skin during the summer tans and it stays with my arm pretty well. But then if you get close enough, it's a big scar. This my graft was put on horizontally instead of vertically or perpendicular with my arm. So I have a line in the middle because of how I heal. It's not real noticeable, but if you really were to examine my arm, you'd see it all. I've got lines right here going all the way around because that's how I heal. And I got a few lines inside of it, but you really can't tell. On the inner side, when I do this, it's a yellowish color. That's fat that's gotten, it's found its way underneath my skin there. I have a little knot right here that is very sore when I push on it. I try to rub it. I don't know if it's scar tissue or what it is. Right here is that ganglion cyst I had removed that the scar tissue developed over that empty hole there. That bothers me once in a while, but I just try not to think about it. I still get the claustrophobic feeling, but what I do is I just put some lotion on it, and it seems just to it doesn't loosen up my skin, but either it's mental or it helps me in some way. I don't have the panic that I do when it grips me. My leg is healed over, except for it's always a whitish color. It'll always be a scar, but it doesn't show any scar. It'll always be a burn, but it has no significant lines or anything showing a scar. Yeah, so I'm totally healed. Of course, I had no issues except for that one hole, and you can go back on my videos and watch them. That healed up just as Dr. Crane said it would. I had a revised scrotum, I guess you would call it. He kind of lifted it and took some excess skin away. I had that done under just numbing because I had no one to take me and drive me home. So I drove 5.5 hours up there, and after the procedure, 5.5 hours back. But everything was fine. I didn't get any infections. I didn't have any excess swelling or anything that went on there. The erection device rod, I chose the semi-rigid rod. It works very well for me. I'm very happy with it. The only thing that I think could have changed maybe is because I have so much skin in the scrotum, I probably might have been able to have a larger set of testicles that'll fill that in more. I am going to consult with him on how the skin in my pubic area, the base of my phallus, actually extends away from my skin extends away from the pelvic bone, and I think it's because of the weight of the rod that causes that. I'm going to see if there's any way he can do that lift pulling my skin back up, which will bring my phallus up a little bit more. I'm in front. I don't. It doesn't fall behind between my legs or anything. I don't have that issue. Uh, of course, when you spread your legs apart and you like do cherry pickers or anything, when you come back up, you might have to adjust yourself a little depending on if you have some weight or not. But I am. He put that all in the right area. I have no issue with that between my legs. I did mention that I use UFM underwear. They are the best when you want to wear pants or button zipper shorts. You don't have to worry about where it's going, where it's hanging. Um, you're always going to have a subconsciously thought that you wonder if you're showing too much. That is just because we are trans men. It's not because we are showing too much. It's because we haven't been socialized. We didn't get broke in with our dicks growing up, and uh, have that knowledge of how other guys hang and stuff in the gym, being able to see all that stuff and be exposed to different, just like women are exposed to other breasts, oh, she's got breasts that stand up, oh, she's got breasts that droop, da 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 da. uh, we're always going to be trans men in that area, and that's just something that you'll have to work through as an individual. Every once in a while I feel a little showy, and my wife will just pat me on my shoulder and say, you're okay. I've had someone else mention, I think I panicked. I don't know if it's a family member or what, but they said, you can't even tell. Just like freaking out over nothing here. But anyway, I did find another pair of shorts, and I think I did talk about it. It's Jockey's microfiber. They do have a little pouch that sticks out, and why I like these underwear, besides my UFMs, is because I can let him hang down and take a break. I wear my gym shorts with them. They don't show anything, and in fact, it doesn't look like I have anything. Uh, my guy kind of hangs a little low. I don't like him down my leg. A lot of guys like that. We've talked about it in groups. Some guys, the younger guys, are like, "What? I like that feeling." I was like, I don't," and it's a lot of it's probably because I'm not socially. I didn't socially grow up with it, so. But I do like the Jockey microfiber. They have a black band. They come in different colors. Um, and I do wear those a lot with my gym shorts and stuff. I did try wearing them with my jeans one time, and it pushed him out of the pocket and down my legs. So I've learned to use those only on loose shorts, as of gym shorts and stuff like that. Other than that, hair on the phallus. I went through hours and hours and hours of laser treatment, or not laser, uh, electrolysis. And I was pretty bald, but I do have hair that comes up on my phallus. It's not real thick, it's sporadic, but there is hair there. I will take my beard trimmers sometimes and shave it, and I don't like to do that because I honestly feel that I cause the peach fuzz to become stronger and show as actual hair, uh, thicker hair. So the head does have some hair that comes out. I let it get enough out where I try to get the root of it. Uh, I have been told I can go back to electrolysis and get that cleaned up. I'm too modest. I just can't bring myself to let them handle me and do that. I just can't. I just can't. I know when I pluck him, if I'm near my nerve, whoo, it doesn't hurt, but it's just a very intense, like, shock. uh, just like if you got electrocuted. um, or you stuck your finger in the light socket, or the bobby pin. Have you ever done that? And your mom tell you not to? Well, I did one time, and believe me, you don't want to do that. But Other than that, as far as the phalloplasty is concerned, I'm just Ethan. I just have, I go into the men's restroom and I still use stalls if I can. There is nobody cares. I've used a urinal a few times, but because of the excess urine that stays in the phallus and you have to milk it so much, I just feel like I take too long at the urinal. But I will use it if it's the only thing there. Uh, I'm trying to train myself how to just unzip my pants and pull them out and put them back in. I get embarrassed and I feel like I can't um, get them milked enough to where I don't have a spot on my shorts. So I've seen a few guys come out with a spot on their shorts and it's noticeable, and I just don't want to draw that attention for me. Regardless if I'm trans male or biological male, I think I still would have the same feelings for myself. Okay, so you're always going to be a trans man. Don't expect yourself to be a biological guy. Don't compete with their bodies. Don't compete with, trying to be perfect in other people's eyes. Just be you. Just relax and be you. The changes will happen. People will see. You're always going to have a family member that misgenders you or calls you by your birth name if they haven't been around you a lot. I still do. Now that my aunt comes out uh, once a year to see her kids here because she moved back where my other aunt lives. She has finally come to where she doesn't address me by name or by a gender. She just talks in general. But I heard that she was really nervous about being around me when I first transitioned because she did not want to say my birth name or anything. And I remember I walk in and my uncle, he grabs me and says, "What's going on, girl?" And then he caught him. You could tell he caught himself, but didn't know how to. And I just hugged him and said, "Go, doing good," and didn't trip on him. He's done that twice, but then he's only been out twice. But I can tell that he does try, and I'm sure they look at me and just think, because I look so much like my dad, and that's my dad's sister, and that leads me into gender identity. But real quick, I just want to tell you guys, our journey is uniquely put together for us as individuals, and one way or the other, we're going to get where we're supposed to get, but it's because of our choices or the way we react or the way we respond or whatever it is along the way. We make it a little bit harder on ourselves. So make it easier on your family members and just take a deep breath when you start getting frustrated with them. Now, I understand there are family members who do it on purpose. And really, why would you want to be around those people? I mean, yes, they're family. They might be your mom and dad, but you can limit your time with them and just tell them as long as you choose to do that. I just don't feel, I'm not happy when I'm around you. I mean, I love you guys and I'll come around you, but it's just making my life kind of hard right now. And they might say, "Well, how do you think you're making us?" And just say you're sorry. Say I didn't, I was born this way. It wasn't something I'm trying to do to you guys. I'm trying to figure me out. But however you can to turn that negative into a positive, try to do that. Otherwise, you're just going to get angry and frustrated, and where's it going to get you? It's going to take time away, your precious time in your life. It's going to take time away from that and just darken it. So, real quick, I just wanted to throw that in there. So, gender identity. Let's go to that and talk about that for a minute. My same aunt. I haven't seen my oldest aunt. There was three of them, my dad and then my two aunts. My oldest aunt, the oldest of the three, she doesn't come out here anymore since my grandparents passed away. So I haven't seen her in years. But my youngest aunt, she does come out once a year, like I said, to visit her kids. We were all talking and reminiscing about our childhood the other day when they were out, and she made the comment, and the way she talked, it was the tone she used and the way she put it out there was how my dad used to treat me like a boy. And she said it something like, "Yeah, and your dad used to treat you like a boy," and it was in the manner of like it. That's what made me who I am, made me have this identity. So for you guys out there whose family members have brought that up because you've been a tomboy or something like that, get them and I want to share with you my feelings on that exact same thing. So, as far as parents, aunts, uncles, family members are concerned, if they have made a comment or mentioned something on that order that it was how you were treated as a kid is what it made you be the way you are. Just for example, even like a lot of lesbians, they get uh, people have a think they have a common knowledge that lesbians are lesbians because they were traumatized as a child, sexually traumatized as a child, and that is so far from the truth. However, there are a lot of lesbians who have been sexually traumatized as a child, but there are a lot of heterosexual women that have been traumatized as a child because men just get off on weird things. Yeah, so there's a lot of that going on. There are women who sexually traumatize boys, and well, I don't know about girls, but I know for boys for a fact that I've seen. So there are both. Um, but getting back to gender identity, it's not because anybody treated that child differently. In my case, my dad did treat me like a boy. I'm the oldest out of five. He knew I was a boy when he got my mom pregnant. And I really busted his balls when I was born. I mean, really threw him for a loop. However, he did not treat me like a boy because he wanted a boy so bad. That's not what happened. My dad treated me like a boy because I acted like a boy for one, and he could challenge me like a boy for two, because that's what my personality was. A good example is my cousin, who is male, is 10 months younger than me, and we used to hang out all the time. We got into an argument when we were climbing an apricot tree. My uncle and my dad were working on my dad's motorcycle. They heard us getting that argument. Well, my cousin and I usually always ended up in a fist fight. Why did we end up in a fist fight if I'm a little girl and don't have those tendencies? It's because of who I am, who I was. Well, anyway, we got in that fist fight, and he took off running around the front of the house, and I chased him. And when I came around to the front of the house, he went in the house. He must have said something to my aunt, because my aunt caught me at the door, and I asked her where he was, and she said, "You are a little girl and you do not fight." Well, that just pissed me off even more. I did not get disrespectful, but I stomped back around the house. And my dad asked me what's going on. Oh, he ran in and told, the aunt. He told me what she said, and he handed me $1. And I said, "What's this for?" He goes, "Your uncle and I betted he thought you would get beat up." And I said, "No, his son's going to get beat up." And I'm not saying any names here on purpose. And you won. So here's your $1. And that was just one example of how I remember. The second little thing I remember, just to give an example here, my dad had a 175 Kawasaki. It was an Enduro, which means you can go on the street or you can go on the dirt with it. And he would take us kids, the family would drive over to the fields, and he'd take us kids for rides on it and stuff. And I was about 8 years old, 9 years old at this time. I think I was more like 8. I always tell the story at 8, so we'll keep it there. And he was giving me a ride around it, and the second time around, he goes, "Here, get in front of me." And I was all excited. He goes, "I'm going to show you how to steer it." And I was like, "All right, cool." And so we were going around the second. He started showing me how to brake it, how to change the gears in it. He took me around another time just to keep me going and keep me doing it. And the fourth time I went around it, uh, I was so proud. It was like a track, and I was coming around, and as I was coming around this ridge here, I started looking at where my family was to show my mom, look what I'm doing, and my dad was standing over there, and I about dumped the bike, and I brought it around, but he was laughing, and I said, I didn't even feel you get off, but he knew. I mean, I'm sure my mom freaked out. But he went and got my grandparents, and they came over. I don't think it was, I don't know if it was the same day, but they came over to watch me, and my grandma was chewing him out for me, and I was loving it. See, they were they didn't understand. My dad, he understood, and so he would have never treated me like that had he not had the confidence in me that I could prevail. Not only that, or succeed, but not only that, it was my personality, the way I was, that he even thought he could do those things with me. So it's not because he treated me like a boy that I was a boy. It was because I was a boy that he treated me like a boy. So if you get that, think back on your past. Think about things that happened. And I'm not saying this happens with everybody, because some people transition and they still don't even think they're a boy or feel like a boy, or they know they're a boy, but they don't feel like a normal boy. I don't know how it goes, but this is my life, and this is how it happened with me. My life is pretty black and white. I always knew I was a boy. I learned along the line that I wasn't a boy biologically. I always questioned God and cried to God, why was I born this way? And it wasn't until later in life that I started realizing and understanding that my life took on a purpose, and in that purpose was the things I had to endure, to go through the experiences, to be able to be there for someone else, be able to share my experience, so that just maybe if someone isn't finding the answers and they come across my videos, that I can help at least one person understand that they're okay, that they're not weird, they're not wrong, that if you just learn to accept yourself, understand this is your special journey, and for some reason you've been chosen to have this special journey, that there is a bigger picture for each of us. So far in my life, where I've seen my life affect people, has mainly been with my family, uh, has brought their thinking out of a box, has forced them to think outside the box. Now, some of them that are not around me all the time, they're not forced to be out of the box, but when they're presented with either texting me, writing me, or talking to me, that they have to learn that not everything is wrong just because it doesn't fit in the box. And I think that's what I've brought to the table in my family. And I hope that, all these videos I've done for the last, and I've been doing them for 6 years, 6 years, 8 months. If one of them can speak to one person and help one person, then my life has not gone in vain. And so understand that gender identity is not because how you've been treated as a child. And sexual orientation isn't because a person's been traumatized by the opposite sex of why they want to be with the same sex. So really educate yourself if you got any family members, or if you see signs in your children. Don't inhibit those children. Allow them to be themselves. Sometimes boys do like to play with dolls, but it doesn't make them gay, and it doesn't make them transgender. Sometimes they just go through a phase. Sometimes they like to dress up like boys or girls, and it doesn't mean they're transgender, nor does it mean they're gay. So understand that we're all uniquely packaged, and you try to wrap your package with the same packing uh, material, you're not going to have the same outcome for each present. So we are all uniquely made. And that's what I want to bring to today's video. Wow, 30 minutes. Well, I hope you guys like this. I hope it's not too long. Take it one day at a time, and always make your journey as simple as possible.